If we're talking about aspirational motorcycle brands, I think Ducati is probably at the top of the list for most people. After all, that combination of performance, Italian styling, and striking red paint is kind of hard to argue with. But the thing about aspirational brands is that they're normally just out of the reach for most of us. So imagine my surprise when, at their latest launch, Ducati Malaysia said that now there's a Ducati for everyone. Well, they did just launch 6 new models, so maybe that's true? The most interesting new models to Malaysia has probably got to be the new Multistrada V2S and the Streetfighter V2. Both of these bikes are positioned to be the tamer, more accessible version of their V4 counterparts, but make no mistake, these are still packed with performance and tech. The 101,900 ringgit Streetfighter V2 is a naked bike that packs 153 horsepower and 101.4 Newton meters of torque thanks to its 955cc 90-degree V2 Super Quadro engine. So it's definitely not lacking in power. It also gets fully adjustable suspension in the front and rear, as well as 2 radially mounted Brembo monoblock M4.32 calipers up front for you to stop with. Obviously, there is a full suite of rider aids enabled by the 6-axis IMU, including cornering ABS, traction control, wheelie control, and multiple riding modes. Meanwhile, the 105,900 ringgit Multistrada V2S is the big adventure bike. It gets a 937cc Testa Stretta 11 engine pushing 113 horsepower and 96 Newton meters of torque. It's also got a much more upright riding position, a big windscreen, and Ducati Skyhook electronically adjustable suspension to boot. Despite that, it actually feels quite beginner-friendly with a relatively low seat height and 5kg weight reduction over its predecessor. Of the two, I think the Streetfighter V2 is definitely more up my alley. I think it looks much nicer with that single-sided swing arm and that rear taillight assembly. If you're more into style than performance though, then the new Scrambler Urban Motard and Scrambler 1100 Tribute Pro will probably be more your speed. They both look really good with their neo-retro design, but definitely aren't the ultimate expression of motorcycle performance. The Urban Motard, for example, features an 803cc air-cooled L-twin engine outputting 73 horsepower and 66.2 Newton meters of torque, while the 1100 Tribute Pro gets a larger 1100cc mill that puts out 86 horsepower and 88 Newton meters of torque. But while they're not as bleeding edge as the Streetfighter, they more than make up for it with aesthetics. The air-cooled fins, the stacked exhaust, the big front mudguard, and 17-inch spoked wheels on the Urban Motard definitely speak to me as a low-key hipster. And did I mention that colorway on the 1100 Tribute Pro? Mwah! They also come with lower price tags, with the Urban Motard starting at 68,900 ringgit and the 1100 Tribute Pro retailing for 85,900 ringgit. But if we're talking about price tags, then I think that the last 2 bikes that Ducati Malaysia unveiled definitely take the cake. The Streetfighter V4 SP is basically a Streetfighter V4 on steroids. Designed to be more track-focused, it gets an 1103cc Desmo Sedici Stradale engine that produces a whopping 208 horsepower and 123 Newton meters of torque at 9,500 RPM. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with those numbers, that's a ton of power. It also gets pretty much all of the other premium components you'd want on a performance machine, including Brembo Stylema calipers up front, electronically adjustable Öhlins forks and monoshock, and it even has wings up front to help push the bike down when you're going way too fast. But probably the most visually striking thing, besides the new colorway, is the exposed dry clutch. How the f does that even work? I have no idea, but it looks cool as heck. Finally, we have the Panigale V2 Bayliss, which is a special edition of the Panigale V2 that's made to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Troy Bayliss's first World Superbike Championship. It gets design cues inspired by Bayliss's championship-winning 2001 Ducati 996R race bike, as well as being a little bit lighter, longer and lower than the standard Panigale V2. The Streetfighter V4 SP is priced at 239,900 ringgit, while the Panigale V2 Bayliss is priced at 136,900 ringgit. So, is there really a Ducati for everyone? Well, yes, if you have at least 70,000 ringgit to drop on a bike. What I personally would have liked to see would be like a true entry-level middleweight bike, kind of like what Aprilia and Triumph did with their 660 series of bikes. Yeah, I would have loved to see like a Ducati 660 or something like that. But for now, I guess this is what we've got. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. We are also available on Facebook, so like and follow us there. We're also on TikTok and all the other social media thingamajiggies. But our home on the internet will always be at surgeonchow.com. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye!